welcome to this week's podcast. And we are talking about the feeling of calm.
Yes, of like serenity, of peace, that inner peace. Oh, we all know that feeling when we feel it.
Super chilled. And we are feeling pretty super chilled because we are recently back from a trip to California and we were very lucky to enjoy some super chill time in nature.
Yeah, serenity often comes when you're in nature. I was thinking of Amton Trahan, which is from Emergent Song. We talked about that beautiful old ancient Irish poem before, and we managed to see the Surf Open, right?
Yeah, the US Surf Open in Huntington Beach this year. We were lucky enough to catch it. We didn't even know it was on.
Accidentally. Or serendipity, as they say,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But I am the wave is me. And I have never really experienced surfing, either watching it or doing it. And I still haven't experienced doing it. It's not my thing. But I really saw how the surfers are one with nature and that kind of, you know, that essence of it.
Yeah, it's the connecting with the wave, as they say. I've done a tiny bit of surfing in my time and I totally get it. It's really being in tune with nature's, you know, the surfers have to sit on the sea. They're waiting on a wave to catch it. It's a very sort of in tune thing to do. You have to be patient ultimately. You have to wait to catch the right wave.
And there's like a self-control element and there's a pause element, which we're going to talk about so much more when we get on into the feeling calm and you know, how you can control feeling calm. But I really, really saw it where the way it works, in case you don't know, I'd certainly never seen it like this.
Yeah, in competition.
In competition, you have the two competitors.
Yeah, one in a red jersey, one in a blue
and they have to go out
wetsuit, should we say? Yeah.
And wait on the wave.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because like hearing the commentators say, there was sometimes they had to wait quite a while.
Yeah, a good few minutes.
And they have a big long amount of time.
Yeah, in the finals they were up to like 20, 25 minutes.
And they have to judge which waves to go for.
Yeah, which they think will be the best wave for them.
And that was like, I can't remember what the commentator said, but he said something like, this isn't a different kind of sport. He said, you know, this is surfing.
Yeah, it's not motorsport or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so like, you know, it was a really eye-opening moment for me because I really, you know, surf culture has that chill vibe, but I never realized why. I mean, they literally have to just wait. Like nature dictates.
Yeah, you have to wait on the swell, the sea conditions, the wind conditions. There's so many factors. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was really, really cool. And the other chill, relaxed serenity I felt was when we were lucky enough to camp in Sequoia National Park.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing amongst the giant redwood trees.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like I am a tree is me. And when I'm sitting under a tree, whether it's here in London, in Ireland, or in beautiful redwoods in California, there is a serenity that comes over me. And they have done studies on your heart rate in nature, right? It's the fractals.
Yes. Yeah, fractal patterns. You're just the impact of seeing these patterns in nature has a profound impact on your physiology.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So anyway, so we've come from nature to this show and we are feeling, and what's kind of cool is sometimes you think of the word chill or relax, think of Netflix and chill. And this is not that, you know?
No.
So let's really dive now into what is the feeling of being, it's called relaxed in the So Brilliant coaching card, because that's kind of like almost like the outcome, isn't it? But calm and serenity is the feeling from positive psychology they've done the research on.
Yeah, relax is the physical outcome of getting the feeling of calm. And Brené Brown describes this in her book as calm as creating a perspective and mindfulness while managing emotional reactivity.
Yeah, that's in her book, Atlas of the Heart, which we've been using on this podcast as our go-to to deep dive into feelings. We also have been exploring Barbara Fredrickson's 10 positive emotions. And she talks about serenity as a sensation that's charged with harmony and a state of mind in which nothing external or internal alters you. And I love that, actually. And when I feel calm, there's nothing that can touch me. That's exactly the feeling. It's like you're just like, yeah. It's a bit like whatever, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. There's a barrier of sort of peace around you that is pretty, impenetrable. That comes with, but it's I'd say, a choice.
Yes.
It's a decision you make whether to stay in that bubble or whether to react, which is, I guess, why the description is described as managing emotional reactivity.
Absolutely. And I think we couldn't but talk about this without going into a conversation about meditation.
Yeah.
So I have been meditating now for about 10, 12 years. Maybe, I mean, 12 years actually now. And definitely for me, the benefits that's really obvious to me amongst numerous benefits of meditating is the pause. I used to always call it the pause. And it is not reacting, but pausing and then choosing how I respond.
Yeah.
Or sometimes choosing not to respond at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like literally groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Like it's life-changing. It has been for me because I was, as we said before, in a kind of a negative way known as fiery or a feisty Irish girl and all that jazz. And I think I was someone, I'm very quick. My mind moves very fast. I'm sure you've noticed, all you beautiful listeners, I talk quite quickly. And so for me, it was just like da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right? And sometimes that's great, as that energy, that upness. But sometimes it would be bad because I would react. I did react.
And really what we're talking about here is the practice of meditation. And it's the practicing that gives you the ability to repeat the calm.
Yeah.
Kind of, and stay in that sort of almost like situation of calm for longer extended periods. Really, as we know, what's going on during meditation is that you're reducing the amount of stress that's being released in your body. You're reinforcing that. Your amygdala, which is your stress response center in your brain, is essentially shrinking over time the more you meditate. That's the practice you're doing. So obviously having a regular meditation practice really helps with that reduction in stress and feeling of calm.
Yeah. And so it's almost like when you meditate, you're practicing being calm.
Exactly.
Now, of course, you're not being triggered. You're sitting in quietness and stillness. But when then buttons are pushed in real life by your children, your boss.
Yeah, or any random incident, shall we say.
People driving on the roads, actually, whatever it is. Then you have the ability to go, okay, I have a choice here. And it is literally mind-blowing because I wasn't that person. And I'm now living in London 20 years. And when I go back and meet Irish friends, they say to me, you've changed. You're still you're still like a bundle of positive energy and you're optimistic to the point of being irritating, as many people say to me, as you know. But you're just a bit more zen, that word zen comes up. Yeah. And, when we were thinking about the car and road rage, this leads us very nicely into the story we're going to talk about today, which is actually we were both part of, but you can lead the story on about
a
moment of calm.
Yeah, whilst in California, I was driving and we were going across a stop sign, as you do in America. And after stopping, I left the junction, but somebody crashed into us.
Yeah, we were in a car crash, basically.
It was relatively low speed, but a car crash nonetheless. Someone plowed into the back passenger side of the car, which is actually exactly the door where our daughter was sitting in the back.
Yeah.
So pretty, a sort of what you'd call, a shaky incident. It was quite a little bit distressing because, you didn't know what's happened in that instant. It happened so suddenly. And, what was our response to that?
Well, what I thought was really interesting was, and I'm still sending out heart meditations to the woman who crashed into us, because that's my thing. You never know what someone is going through in their life. And so, if there's been an interaction that's been very difficult, I do try and just go, okay, let's send the person love. And she was genuinely surprised in a positive way about how cool we were.
Yeah, she literally said, thanks for being so nice about this.
Yes. Yeah. And then we found out later from our LA friends and Orange County friends that apparently it's a place where people have enormous road rage.
You've obviously, being in the US, you have no idea what that person's going to be like, whether they're, carrying a firearm or whatever. Who knows? Yeah.
So I can honestly say, in real time that when I got out, I did feel calm, and I don't tend to go to a crazy place when things go wrong now. Like with lots of little incidents while we were traveling, actually. Over the course of the time, and as we always tend to do, and I'm a bit like, has anyone died? No. Okay, well then we'll figure it out. And so we all got up, and I think when you're in a car accident and you all get up and walk out of the car,
yes,
that's a good car accident.
Yes.
That's a good car accident.
Yes,
when everyone walks out.
Yeah,
and we all walked out. Everyone, physically okay. Yes, and once everyone's physically okay, then everything else is just boring money and logistics, right? So,
yeah.
But I think, as you say, the reason that we were so calm and so nice, as she said to us, is because we have built up a practice over many years. Yeah. Brené Brown also says that when she thinks about people who are calm, she thinks about people who can bring perspective to complicated situations and experience their feelings without reacting to heightened emotions.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
And that's literally what happened to us. Yeah. And, it was the first story that came to mind as we sat down to do this podcast. And I think in many ways, at times we surprise ourselves on our van. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm okay. And we're like, okay, we're grand. And I think we're so used to being like that now and interacting in the world in this level. It probably wasn't until we went back to our friend's house in Orange County that we're staying at, and they were quite surprised. They were quite shocked,
yeah. That we driven back, we were like chatting away.
And being part of an accident and, came in and we're having dinner like nothing happened really in their eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's really interesting. And, there's a lot of reasons why we are pro meditation and why we teach meditation. But that's a big one.
Yeah, it's a pretty huge benefit.
I mean, and I think about the very, very famous app out there that's obviously got that same name, right? Because, people do meditation for calm. Now, personally, I think meditation comes with a crap load of other benefits that are equally as important and valuable. And so,
yes, but that's kind of the one that springs to mind the most.
Well, I think also because we've got a very, and certainly being in the States, we had a lot of conversations about this. We live in a very divisive world now where people are heightened anxiety seems
triggered.
To be even the fact that the word triggered is like a normal everyday word. Yeah. Like we seem to live in a world which is, everyone seems to be so uptight and constantly like on edge.
Yeah, and should we say reactive to things.
That's such a good point.
And that's maybe a sort of response to being reactive on certain types of social media, maybe.
And, we also came back to Parkinson having passed away, the very famous...
Michael Parkinson,
the very famous...
broadcaster, yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking a lot about, what I would mourn with the passing of him was actually the interview style. That was what I would have grown up with, which was much calmer. People would wait for you to respond. There was a kind of there was a pausing.
Yeah, for a longer answer and maybe, allowing someone to speak rather than the sort of the new version of talking over people.
Yeah, like the Twitter version, which is just, kind of like.
Yeah, or the fiery news reporter version.
Yeah, which is trying to, goad someone into saying something and exactly get the soundbite, isn't it? Get the
soundbite, the aggressive type of style of interviewing these days. Yeah.
And I was also thinking when I was in, Sequoia National Park and Kings Canyon, And it comes back up. My earliest memories are so similar. And my earliest memories of serenity are so similar. Nature. I was fortunate enough to grow up in the country, on a farm in the middle of nowhere in Southern Ireland. And, you know, I would walk down what we would call the back road, which is the road in a kind of not a main road, basically. So very little traffic on it. And I would pick flowers and then I would bring them home and I would press them. And I was alone. I was just, you know, engrossed in the day. And I have memories of being a lovely day and I just would pick different flowers at different times of the year. But it's such a beautiful, soothing feeling, even as I close my eyes now and I can see this little girl, you know, in a little skirt and sandals. And, you know, I'm just so lost in nature. And, you know, my childhood wasn't perfect any more than anyone else's, but I could always access that serenity of nature. It was always there to me. I could walk out my door and be free.
Yeah. And no matter how, say, stressful your household was, you had a lot of brothers and sisters, etc.
There's four of us, and mum and dad, and, you know, mental health issues and loads of stuff going on. But like, I do think the buffer was nature.
Yeah. Yeah,
our freedom.
I'd say you're very lucky to have had that. Yeah, I grew up in the city, so a bit different for me, but I get being alone and getting outside. Yeah.
And interestingly, also in Brené Brown's book, she talks about some research that's been done on, you know, the restorative environment or a tranquil environment. And it's a guy called Stephen Kaplan who has said there are 4 essential elements to an environment that is restorative. One of them is a sense of getting away.
Yeah.
So like we just said, I'm
literally
down the
you just
road.
walked outside. Yeah.
A feeling of immersion. So I always felt so connected with nature that like I didn't have the words for it. I was a small child. That nature was me and I was nature. Like we've said before with that. I'm Fuamara, you know, I am the wave on the sea, you know, I'm Durgrania, I am the sun drop, you know, this is the Gaelic coming in. And then the third one is holding attention without effort. So like nobody was saying to me, you must go pick flowers, you must focus, you know, knuckle down here. No, like I was off doing my own thing.
You knew what you were doing. You had a focus of, I'm going to pick these flowers and my purpose is to go home and press them.
Holding attention without effort. It was just, and then a compatibility with one's preferences. And for me, I think at that time, my preference was to have a little bit of alone time. It was a busy family home and also autonomy. You know, like most children, once you reach a certain age, certainly our daughter, you want to decide what to do, right? Yeah. So when I went off and did my flower picking, there was nobody telling me what to do.
No one told you to go out and pick some flowers. Yeah.
Very interesting. I mean, ultimately, these restorative environments, these tranquil environments, are, you know, low level noise and some form of nature is the components of it. And so again, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, I don't have a lot of calm and tranquility in my life. So maybe you can think about a restorative environment for yourself, you know, and we're lucky enough to live in a city, which is one of the top cities in the world for parks, London. Yeah. Like I think it's in the top 3 or something.
There are a lot of parks. So and we live close to at least 3 of them.
You don't have to be in a country road to do this. And I think that's important to go because sometimes when you say to people, you know, I don't feel tranquil, I don't have any serenity, to know that it is available to you. And I think it's really important as well from a psychology point of view of like, people say, why bother with positive emotions? And we have talked about this on other podcasts. But like positive emotions, with back to the broaden and build, they make you see things are more connected. They will make you feel more compassion for people, as we did in our car accident. And then also, you know, there's the health benefits where numerous studies now show the impact on our nervous system, on our immune system. You know, that you've lower blood pressure, you've, you know, longer life, longevity.
Yeah, ultimately, so many benefits. And we associate all of these with meditation.
Yes, there's the benefits of meditation too, the crossover, right?
Exactly what I'm getting to, yeah. And that reminds me of my experience with getting out in nature and getting into that immersion space. That I guess the first time I really truly experienced it, because like I said, I grew up in the city. I didn't have the openness of backcountry roads like you did. But I definitely experienced on a holiday, and it was a winter holiday up in Canada about 20 years ago, so about 2003, and I went to Banff, which is in the Rocky Mountains in Canada, and there's a ski resort there called Lake Louise, and I just about mastered my snowboarding in the sense of I didn't need any more lessons. I could get down pretty much most pistes, shall we say. So I was cruising, and it wasn't an effort to stay on my feet anymore.
So that's the holding attention with an effort.
Yes, right. Literally. Yeah, there we go.
Because if I was to go snowboarding now, there'd be so much effort involved.
Yeah, the beginner phase can be quite a steep learning curve, shall we say. Yeah. But I was out of that curve, thankfully, and I'd found my feet, and I was cruising around. And I found myself alone on the mountain a few times because I was with the group and they were all skiers. I was the only snowboarder. So the ski group would typically be way more advanced and they'd just zip off and wouldn't wait for me. So what I found was I could take my time in cruising down the mountain. And that was the time I felt this amazing sense of serenity, as we say. I could see the frozen Lake Louise at the base of the mountain. It was absolutely gorgeous. And Canada wasn't that busy at that time. The piece was practically empty. It was just me cruising along effortlessly. And I was just absorbing it all in. It's some pretty stunning scenery out there. I was so lucky to go there.
And as you're speaking, your whole face lights up.
I remember it so well. Yeah. Beautiful, honestly, really genuinely a kind of Zen moment on the slopes there.
Yeah, like an inner peace.
Yeah.
And is it because you felt that connectivity with nature?
It must have been. I don't think I'd ever felt that sort of feeling before.
Yeah.
Where you kind of, I felt the connection with the mountain, so to speak. As much as a surfer gets a connection with the wave, I felt this on a mountainside. It was like, just slipping along and all just being able to see the sort of the Rockies around me, surrounding me. Absolutely gorgeous. And absolute feeling of zen and calm.
And I'm thinking about the absence of demand, like you'd no pressure to do anything.
Yeah, I wasn't racing anyone. I wasn't trying to catch up with the group. It was definitely just doing it at my own pace. No demands.
Yeah, and that's, I think, when tranquility comes. There's a difference between it, Brené Brown says, but between it and contentment. Which is, you have things to do, but you're happy about that or whatever. Tranquility. And I definitely feel this when I meditate. And I've said it to many people, why do you meditate? And I said, because it's the only part of the day where I can go, nothing to do now. Yeah. There's no demand on me.
Yeah.
There's so many demands on us in modern life. And then I can just sit and be for whatever, for me, 20 minutes, but for whatever amount of time. And that it can really help me counter mental fatigue and attention depletion, which is what they say tranquility helps with.
Yeah. I think I've said it before. It's giving yourself permission to do nothing.
Yes.
Brilliant. Yeah. I love it.
And I would get the same now walking. Sure. Maybe cycling. Running is a little bit more strenuous. I think once you get into the doing, now I can jog and stuff by myself and I think there has to be that right balance, doesn't there? This idea of chill, relax, there's a reason, it's not,
it's not as active.
When you feel the calmness. Maybe people feel swimming too.
Yeah, it depends the pace you go, obviously. I certainly feel it with swimming. I can,
in nature.
You can, there's depends where you're swimming, obviously. But with respect to the ocean, there's different places you can swim, weather conditions, etc. But you can certainly get that feeling while doing that.
I know, and I'm thinking a question for our audience would be, what is inner peace like for you? And the best way for me to do this is to think about, when did you last feel it?
And where?
And where, rather than like our version of it or somebody else's. And we always say you are unique, you have the answers on you. You are the expert on you. Is to we've both closed our eyes when we've actually reminisced and recounted these moments of tranquility that we remember and serenity. And I would really encourage you, if you're listening now, to pause this or when you press stop and to actually go, okay. And I think childhood's brilliant because, you can often have those moments from childhood.
Yeah.
But if not,
it's good to just try and visualize those moments whenever it was. So what if you're not very zen naturally, should we say? Well, Brené Brown says you can cultivate and maintain calm through self-questioning.
Yes, it's all about perspective taking. This made me think of our coaching card called WHOLE, WHOLE, which is the whole perspective. So that was really interesting for me. And actually, what I'm going to do now is actually go through the card to help people.
It's real simple.
It is. And our daughter actually does this. She picked this out of our card pack, our coaching card pack, and actually had it under a pillow for a long while. And then when we traveled, she said, oh, I don't need to bring it with me, Mummy. I have learned it off by heart. And we were concerned about her after the accident. Was she okay and would she sleep?
Of course.
And she seemed fine. And over the course of our travel, she said to me sometimes when she was lying there and just kind of staring into space, said, oh, I'm doing the whole practice now, Mummy. I'm doing the whole practice. I was like, brilliant.
So gorgeous.
So it's WHOLE, and that's 5 letters of an acronym. And I like to think about it as the 5 fingers on your hand. So you've got something, because when you're in that moment of tension, okay, you've been in an accident or someone shouted at you or someone stressed you out.
Yeah.
I actually got back and somebody stressed me out on London transport.
Yeah.
I was faffing around with luggage and stuff, and she wasn't very happy and wanted to push through to get off the bus, So that was a moment. So again, these moments will happen. But if you take a whole perspective and use some self-questioning, you can, evoke a little bit more calmness. So W. Will it matter in a week? Okay.
Yeah, the time perspective.
Yeah, obviously that didn't matter in a week. What happened to me? The next one is helpful. Is it helpful or unhelpful to feel this way right now?
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time it's not helpful, right? No.
In the moment, no.
Yes, feeling stressed. You make poor decisions when you're stressed and aggravated.
Mm-hmm.
So it's usually never helpful, right?
Yeah.
The next one is O is for objective, subjective. Are you looking at this just from your own point of view or the point of view of someone else? Think about this lady on the bus. I was just thinking about me and my luggage.
Yeah.
She could have had something very important to get to that day. Why should have pushed by me?
Exactly.
Who knows,
you don't
right?
know her perspective.
Is it logical or emotional reasoning? And this is back to this emotional reactivity. So am I reacting to this woman? And in that moment when she pushed by, I did have a couple of seconds of a reaction.
Your face.
I had a face. Didn't say any words, you see, but I had the face. And is it logical? No, it's not. It's logically, she might need to go somewhere.
You just didn't know.
Emotional reasoning. Same with a car crash, whatever. And the last one is E for evidence. Let's do some fact checking here. So like what actually happened?
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I was in somebody's way and they had to push by me to get past me. That's actually the facts of the case.
Yeah. And she had to wait probably 5 seconds longer than normal.
Right. And what are the facts of the case about our car crash? We came out of a junction, and someone
crashed into the side of us. Yeah.
That's what actually happened. Nobody was out to get us. This woman wasn't out to get into our child.
It was a genuine accident. Yeah.
And the same with my person on the bus. So that's whole, WHOLE. And I like to use my hand on around.
Yeah, just count them out.
Count them down.
Yeah, 5 letters. Yeah.
And, if you're having an anxious moment, often, or you just want to, as I say, induce or just bring on some calmness. Usually by the time you get down to 3 or 4 on your fingers, you're already thinking.
You already kind of thought yourself out of it almost.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it is very cognitive. Mm-hmm. Of course, as we've said, the other method is breath and meditation. And in honor of that, we thought, why not end today? And actually today is our last podcast for a little while.
Yeah.
Why not end today with bringing you into a nice meditation with us? So if you would like to experience some more calm now, just join along.
Yeah, it's real simple.
And our style of meditation is a mantra meditation.
Yeah.
It's called Quietize More.
And it's seated and it's silent, but we'll talk you through it.
So I'm going to say the words. They are in the Irish language because they are so sticky and soothing and beautiful and calming.
And all you have to do is sit there, ideally close your eyes if that's comfortable, and breathe at your own pace and follow our instructions.
There's nothing you really need to do. It's just a being practice.
The nature sound you can hear is the sound of the Irish Sea in Bettystown, County Meath, recorded by Mary Ellen.
So, in your mind now, not out loud, but in your mind, you're going to repeat these sounds to yourself. And I'll say them quite a good few times because they're unusual sounds to most of us. Am fuam mara. Am fuam mara. Am fuam mara. So just keep repeating those sounds. And your mind will wander. That's what minds do. Thinking about whatever. Going off down thinking holes. Just come back to those soothing sounds. Am fuam mara. We're going to stay here with you. We're going to meditate along with you. You're not alone. And we'll check in with you after 5 minutes. Am fuam mara. Like the wind is whispering. Like nature is whispering to you. Am fuam mara. It'll sound different in all of your heads when I say it. Doesn't matter. Am fuam mara. Am fuam mara. Now you can gently let go of the Irish sound. Just bring yourself back into the room or space you're in. And whenever you're ready, you can gently open your eyes again. And that brings us nicely towards the end of our podcast. Just to wrap this up, as I always do, I bring in a little bit of my own heritage, and the Bangla word, the Bengali word for calm is shanto, which is of course the derivation of the word shanti, which is peace in Hindi and Sanskrit. So
you can see the obvious connection there with the words. And it was a word I often heard my mum say, do it shanti mondiye, which means like do it with a calm head. Do something with a calm head, I'd hear that sort of word quite often in our household growing up.
Makes me think what they say in Northern Ireland, give your head peace, a bit of head peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a bit of calm head. In Irish, it'd be tá súbhnas orm. I feel calm. Or sometimes it can also be cueness, which is again is silence. And there's a beautiful saying that I have to share. An té is cuine, is buine. And I just love this. One of the Shanachals.
Sounds poetic.
It's beautiful, isn't it? And an awful lot of the Shanachals are. It's all about the way it sounds. An té is cuine, is buine. And it really means, he or she who is silent is the strongest or who lived the longest. So silence and longevity, I get it. And these are old sayings. As we said, if you can bring a little bit of this peace, this shanti, this suaveness, inner peace, tranquility into your life, you will live longer.
Yes. Essentially, I'm guessing it's like you'll have lower stress is what we'd equate it to these days, right?
So that would be our wish for you. I talk about sending heart meditations out to people, and I'm sending it out to anyone who's listening today. This is our last podcast. We'll be back in the autumn, and we would like to share, that may you be tranquil of mind. Is the last part of the heart meditation. The T is for tranquility. May you have tranquility of mind if you're listening in your life every day. That's our wish to you. And so that's slán go fóill.
Daco hobe. Namaskar.